Everyone, and welcome to the July 8th, 2025 meeting of the Lakeville Conservation Commission. We are being recorded by Lake Cam, and we'll start as always with introducing ourselves.
I'm Mark Munton. I'm the conservation agent.
John LeBlanc.
Michelle Bouchard.
Nancy Yates.
Joseph Chamberlain.
William Afados.
Matthew Ferraro.
Okay, first on the agenda is 17 Pine Bluff. I will read notice of the public hearing. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, doesn't say that, but it is Section 40, of the Wetlands Protection Act, the Lakeville Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on 7/8/25 at 6:30 p.m. at the Lakeville Police Station, 323 Bedford Street, on a request for determination of applicability. The applicant, Norma Anthony, is proposing removal of tree debris. The project is located at 17 Pine Bluff and is also identified on the assessors map as map 65, block 4, lot 8. Is anybody here for that one?
Need a motion to open the hearing?
Oh, yes, I do.
Motion to open the hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I don't think
Okay,
anyone
Mark?
could be here. So I went out on the site, and you can read, there's a little narrative in there that Norma Anthony wrote, that she had a son in town from Florida, thought he was doing her a favor and took down a couple trees, at least was trying to clean up some debris on the slope and cut a couple trees. Norma called us, to her credit, and said that she needed somebody to come out and take a look, and she wanted to do whatever it was she needed to do to get covered by the Conservation Commission. It's a pretty steep slope. You can see there's a couple aerials.
So is it right on the water?
Yeah, it's right on the water. 17 Pine Bluff. It's to the right, if you have the picture, if you're looking at the house. Yeah. It's probably, there was one tree that the trunk was still, it's kind of cut halfway up the trunk. They're pretty small trees. And then that was more to the left there. And then there was another one to the right, and apparently, well, a couple other, some other brush had been cut.
What's the debris? Just brush and trees?
Yeah, brush.
They're gonna leave the stump, she said, right?
Right, yeah, so that's what the write-up is. I said, yeah, leave the stumps in, and her proposal is to hire an arborist to go out and clean up the debris and cut the stumps, clean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and again, to her credit, it's nice when somebody calls and,
Yeah, nobody reported her. She
Yeah.
reported herself.
yeah.
Okay.
She said she had been to the commission, I don't know when exactly, but she had done some other work on her property there, so, yeah.
Okay, so we need a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we need a motion to issue a -3 determination with the condition, no stump removal, and anything that falls in the water must be removed
No
immediately.
heavy equipment used in or near the pond.
All right, that's
She
better,
had
okay,
that in her.
okay. So no
So-
stump removal, no heavy equipment.
Any debris,
And debris,
lake.
We're assuming everything's going off-site.
Yeah.
all right, so I need a
So moved.
motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next, 129 Staple Shore Road, same thing. Town of Lakeville. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, the Lakeville Conservation Commission will hold a public meeting on 7/8/2025 at 6:30 PM at the Lakeville Police Station, 323 Bedford Street, on a request for determination of applicability. The applicant, Donna DeCosta, is proposing removal of a diseased tree. The project is located at 129 Staple Shore Road and is also identified as Assessors Map 64, Block 3, Lot 13.
Motion to open the hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You're up, Mark.
Okay, I don't know if anybody, I don't see Donna or, so this is a RDA. They want to remove a tree, that's basically growing out of the, there's a little stone retention wall right in front of the porch there, right on the water. She submitted some pictures and again, I went out, I guess it's an elm tree, but, she had somebody look at it. She brought some leaves as well, so, it apparently is diseased. It has the sawdust around it, but they want to take it down. They're also concerned about, a couple of the pictures show the roots are infiltrating in.
Foundation.
Yeah, worried about the foundation, but.
So are they planning on removing the stump?
I don't, I had recommended no, but that's, I don't see it. That would be my recommendation. I don't see it in here that they
Well,
want
they'd
to
have to
put
go
it.
into the lake to dig this out, right?
Right. We also had a discussion about the timing of it, that if it was later in the summer, if the water, and who knows whether the water will be lower or higher, but that would be a better time to try to take it down. She has the arborist, that apparently is gonna do the work. When I talked to her, as somebody that's gonna climb the tree and take it down in sections, so doesn't really need any equipment. I guess there's a crane they could have brought in, but they would have to block the road, and she was like, preferred that they just climb it and take it down. So if the stump, if they wanted to grind the stump, I think it's,
No, sir, I would say I would not vote for any stump removal without contacting the water departments. It's drinking water. They don't want stumps pulled out of drinking water because
yeah.
it would, put silt and stuff into the lake. So, I think it just puts almost the same conditions as the last ones, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything, I mean, to the concern that you kill the tree, but it's still gonna be alive for a while, the roots, I don't know if there's, if they
People
wanna.
grinding down the stumps, it's just pulling the roots out that does the damage, so.
All right.
So we need a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Anybody have, I forgot to ask first time around, anybody have anything else to say about it? No? Okay, so, all in favor?
Aye.
So now we need a, motion to issue a -3 determination with no stump removal, no heavy equipment, and any debris in the water is removed.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. 52 Cleve Pond Road. This is an enforcement order. I assume everybody has it in front of themselves.
Can I plead not guilty? Blame it all on Arthur, right?
Nobody will believe it.
Okay, so I need to say that, on your enforcement order, it was pretty clear that by tonight we were looking for some kind of a plan, a completed delineation of the wetland resource area to be done by a certified wetland scientist. Step 1, step 2, a restoration plan will be prepared and presented at a regularly scheduled, conservation meeting. cetera, et cetera. Any and all work on this property would be supervised by the agent or a commissioner. Once the restoration plan is approved, the Lakeville Conservation Commission, a notice of intent will be filed to condition the work. So that's basically it. It's like on the last page here. So, what have you got?
Madam Chairman?
Yep.
So Derek Maxey, current owner, 52 Clay Pond Road. Steve Shamel, who I hired to do the soil sample and all that, happened to be on vacation last week and this week, so he wasn't able to make it. However, I wanted to come here with something, so I actually had Dave Madigan, the surveyors, survey a plan to show you where it is, if that's okay, if I can pass that out.
All right, you repeat that survey plan to show the lot?
To show the lot with the disturbed area.
Okay,
Good. That way you guys have something to, and what they did was they, in the order, like in the enforcement order, there was, it showed where Mass Mapper showed where the current wetlands would have been and still are.
Thank you very much.
So I didn't want to come here with nothing, so, because Steve couldn't make it, I had Madigan kind of draw this up to show you where, they went out and surveyed it, they, took the overlay, the mass mapper over the top, and then they went out, identified with, stakes exactly where it is. Now, the next step, I guess, would be is, because obviously we didn't do anything, he didn't do any corn or anything like that.
okay.
But I wanted to be able to show you where we believe it
So,
is.
did he approximate the acreage of the disturbed area? 1 inch equals 40 feet.
13,000.
13
Yeah.
right there,
Yeah, yeah.
13,000
Yeah.
square feet.
And this is fairly rough because Dave Madigan's not a soil scientist, but he overlays a map to it.
So is that a quarter of an acre? Somebody help
It's
me?
probably,
That's close to a quarter of an acre.
yeah, just under a quarter, I think.
Just
An
under
acre
a
is
quarter of an
46
acre.
and
Okay.
change, something like that.
And then I did, I don't know, has anyone been able to go to the site at all?
I was
Mark
there
went
earlier
today.
today.
So,
Oh, I've been there more than once.
so I only had a couple pictures, but if you guys wanted to pass these around, I just took a couple, I'll pass that down. Just so you can see what was out there in case you haven't been there, and,
John and I went, right?
yeah.
Oh, way back, with,
With Arthur.
Joseph.
Well, Arthur wasn't there, we went with Jamie.
Right, and Arthur has now moved to Florida.
I
Good for
thought he
him.
went to Hawaii.
Hawaii, excuse me, yes, Hawaii. I got a picture of him and his brother in the pool.
Okay,
Rubbing it in, that's called?
And he was the first Lakeville Fire Department to retire. He was the first full-time hired and first one to retire.
wow.
Did not know that.
And he realizes, what was done there was, a mistake, and that's why I'm here.
Okay, so your next step is gonna be to have this delineated for real because Mass Mapper isn't always as accurate as we'd like to see. So how is gonna be Steve Schmiel?
Yes, it is.
And how is he gonna go about this? He's
So-
gonna have to dig in
So
at different places?
Yeah, so my thought was, do we remove, based on this rough map, remove the material that's there, pull it aside? And some of it's pretty deep or whatever, and then have him come in there and do his sampling. But we don't want to do anything yet until this
Right,
commission
well,
process.
to tell you the truth, they had a similar case in Middleborough. And I called Tricia Cassidy and she kind of walked me through it, which is why I say I want somebody from the commission or that agent to be on site because you are gonna have to go and dig in, not every spot, but
Right,
around to try to find where that line is. So if you have a machine or whatever, however you're doing it,
Well,
somebody
but-
needs
but
to be there.
Don't we have, he has to submit a plan. So you have a professional, right?
right, yes,
He can tell us how he expects to do it.
yes,
He can't remove any debris yet.
Right, and we need to approve that plan before any of that stuff.
But he needs to, he can't delineate the wetland line without getting down to the soil.
yeah. This is a tough one. This-
Right.
Yeah,
And like I say, I talked to Tricia in Middleborough and they had a very similar case. It
Well-
was a half an acre of wetland that
But
was filled.
isn't that still part of the plan? Like, come up with a plan to delineate the wetland? and
It's
then-
here.
And then do the replication.
It's here.
What is?
No, what is their plan? They
Their
present to
plan
us their
should tell
plan
us
to.
how they're gonna delineate the wetlands and fix it.
Right,
right?
what is their plan to pull aside the debris? Not just go in and pull aside the debris. What is their plan? Where are they
We
gonna
shouldn't
move
be
it to?
making the call, should we dig this out?
Okay,
The wetland scientist.
well, it just says
should
a
be
complete,
telling us
okay,
how
so
they
you
expect to
want
do it.
them to tell us how they're gonna do it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
With
And-
pictures and mapped actual exact locations of where they are going to relocate or,
Yeah, so his
Have test
suggestion, when I
locations.
did meet him out there, was to do like, strips across to find the beginning and the end, you know what I mean? And then have your agent witness that. And then
Okay.
instead of removing all of it, let's find the beginning and the end, maybe 3 or 4 different strips. that
Okay.
go- Instead of.
Can he give us that plan in writing?
Yes.
Okay.
yeah.
So
He
let's
is
do
working
that.
on that. Unfortunately,
Okay.
he's
All
not here
right.
for this.
I thought us watching how it was done was enough, but no, if that's what everybody wants.
No, that's even better if
Yeah,
you witness
okay.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Joe?
Anything leads you to suspect there's anything more than just organic material there?
It's just wood chips.
With just wood chips?
Just wood chips, yeah.
We're not talking 23B.
Tons and tons of wood.
Yeah.
Couple
Apparently someone
feet
needs to
deep
get rid
in
of
some
some wood
places.
chips.
Yeah.
Which is my.
And it might be an isolated land subject to flooding in the middle where all that, I don't know why
Right,
he didn't
the
chop that down, that's
bamboo.
invasive, the bamboo.
I know.
There's a section of bamboo in the middle and it's surrounded by
Yes.
like 2 feet of wood
Was that-
chips.
Almost like.
And
it was
that's definitely a
koi
depression, so
pond.
I don't know what that is. I don't think
I-
it's jurisdictional, but
Yeah,
time will tell.
I think he was telling me bamboo is not a wetland species or something. I wish he was here, but obviously I
It's
couldn't get him.
it's not an obligatory,
No, but it grows
but
wherever
it
it wants
grows,
to
it
grow.
grows where it wants to grow. It's very fast.
Yeah, it's a small, like maybe 15-foot diameter circle that it's sitting in. But I think that when he gets back, because I will have him draw up a proposal
Yeah.
for this
Just
commission.
tell us exactly how he expects to be able to delineate the wetland line.
Yeah.
And then, once, that's determined, he can tell us what he expects, how to replicate it.
Okay. And I just wanted to make sure I came here with something, and I thought having my survey at least overlay the mapper to give us all an idea where to start, because I don't know it. It's mulch everywhere.
So you think 2 weeks is enough time?
Yeah, he'll be back by then.
Okay. So let's,
Motion to continue?
to continue.
To what date?
Awaiting
July
a
22nd.
plan to July 22nd at 6:30 at the police station.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
So-
Thank
There you go.
So that's Steve Schmiel? Is
Yes.
that- Okay, yeah, I know.
And thank you, everyone, because I know what it's like to be on that side of this table. It's a lot of commitment, and I appreciate everybody for doing it. Thanks again.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks.
Watch out for that one over there, though.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, put this in the file.
I don't think I have the front end one.
For continuing the next one, correct?
Let me see. Yes, 301 Pond Lane has the, peer review hasn't come back. When we sent out the peer review, it didn't have the right calculations, so we had to track it down. So they've requested a continuance to 7/22/25
So moved.
Second.
at 6:30 at the police station. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next up, 19 Captain's Way.
Good evening. For the record, now Zager from Zenith.
Just in case we forget.
Yeah, just in case, just to remind you guys. So when we were here before last time, we set up a site visit, which we performed last week. This is my plan.
It is, so we need to vote on the revised plan that just came in yesterday, even though it's just for the septic, right?
It was, honestly, it was a
We
label.
can't figure out what you put on there.
It was a label,
Oh.
for conservation. It was just another label.
Okay.
We had a label on there for a liner.
Okay.
that we had to label up, and so it was minor, very minor. No changes to the layout, as you can see.
Okay, so motion to review the plan?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, sorry.
No, don't be sorry. So, as you know, we went out to the site, we had staked out the building where it is, in relation to everything out there, so, the commission members that were present could see, in the field, obviously. I know there wasn't really, we had, had some questions, which I believe I answered as best I could. And now I'm just here before you, to answer any other questions that the commission has. I know it's a tight one. I know there's concerns. But, it does comply with zoning. It does comply with, with Wetlands Protection Act. It does comply with Board of Health regulations. Actually, it was approved by the Board of Health.
Well, I don't know if it complies with the Wetlands Protection Act, because I don't feel like there's been proof that you're not gonna impact that wetland, but I'm gonna let the commissioners that went on the site visit, John went out there, he wasn't with us, but John went out there today. And the rest of us were there except Michelle.
Sorry about that. I plan to visit
Okay.
if
No, that's fine.
if we have time.
No worries. Understood.
Watch out for the poison ivy.
I got it on
Ticks, I got a
Oh,
tick.
and ticks. Yeah.
Least of my troubles. I can handle them.
So I got a couple questions.
Of course.
So you're 13.9 feet away from the wetland line,
Yes.
the closest corner of the house.
Yes.
What's the over dig on a foundation?
About 5 feet.
5 feet, so that brings you within 8 feet. What are you doing for silt? Just a 10-inch silt sock?
I mean, we could do, if the commission wants a silt, the silt sock and a silt fence.
Yeah.
Whatever the commission likes, we can do.
I think we'd want to double, since we're so close, at the least in this case.
The other question I had was where, on the, I don't even know what's that, maybe northeast side, where the fill, is, you have a steep slope there?
Here.
Right. That goes down very close to the wetland.
Right here.
Front corner, yeah.
Right here.
Yeah,
Yeah, so at its closest, we're about 5 feet away.
okay. And what are you doing to that slope?
It's a 3-to-1 slope, so it's just gonna be loam and seeded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you do something like, sod?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that
you-
it doesn't run, you know what I
3 to
mean?
1's awful steep to try to get stuff to grow.
yeah, I mean, that's a standard practice. That's a Title V requirement for minimum grading, so.
I just worry about a storm like last Thursday night, you know?
Understood completely. No, understood
So-
completely. I don't foresee my client having any issue with doing sod if that
Yeah.
would be. We could also throw down a jute mesh,
Whatever you
as
can
well.
do to keep it from
All
running.
the seed going into the wetland.
Seed and dirt and whatever, all these,
Yeah, I mean, obviously the idea is obviously once it's, as you know, we're gonna make sure it's stabilized properly
Right.
before any of the erosion controls are removed. And that, if you have that double protection there, then, that should hopefully be
well, I wanna try to
Safe path, yeah.
prevent you guys from having to go dig that out.
understood,
You know what I mean? If we do get and then you got a piece of machinery right there,
understood.
so.
We're amenable to, I mean, we can, provide the commission with, details on, as far as stabilization goes. We'd be amenable to sod, be amenable to a jute mesh, would be amenable to a certain seed mix that you'd like. I mean, we're amenable to any of that.
I have a question. Did you end up testing where the wetlands is with the auger?
Yes. Yeah. So Steve Schmiel, the wetland scientist, does all of his soils, with an auger.
How about around that tree?
What
Where the wetland line goes out around that tree? That's filled up to the top.
Right
with-
here?
Yeah. See how it juts out? There's a tree there that's like 6 feet up with, I don't know what. So I don't,
Yep.
you went around that, I just wonder how the soils were tested under there and that line. maybe should go straight out. My thing is, a peer review of the wetland line, because it's so close to the house, and you already know, and I,
You don't- you
you
need to-
know, that I am
Yeah.
vehemently opposed to this. I don't think though, how you can protect the wetland, I think we need a peer review to, even with drainage or whatever, of how you're gonna protect that wetland being that close. And in 20 years, this commission, unless somebody can find something that I didn't see, in 20 years, this commission has never approved new construction with a 25-foot going through the middle of the house. So,
Where does the drainage run? Where have you guys designed it to go?
It's literally gonna go down to the wetland, yeah, so. We could propose roof drains for the house, that's something we can definitely do, to minimize that. And we can also do some, like a little bit of an infiltration trench along the driveway.
but we don't know how it's coming down. Number one, that's a paved driveway. Did we decide what percent coverage was?
Oh, it's way under.
Okay.
I think we said
right.
about 10%.
But the house next door is set way up on the hill, so it looks like they have that huge hill coming down and it only has wood chips on it. So, I mean, if that's coming down off that hill on top of what's coming off of there, like I said, drainage,
Again, it's all what I call A-soils, it's all sand. So there's almost no water coming off of it. There was no signs of any erosion out there. If there was a huge concern about water coming down, you would see rutting, you would see,
off the hill next door, you mean?
oh yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
There's
Yeah,
no
so there's
trenching
definitely
there,
no
right.
concern with that.
Okay,
Is that an easement next to the lot?
No, this is actually just a strip of land that somebody else owns.
somebody else owns?
Yeah. Yeah, there was
Yeah,
basically
this
no.
is the funky one where there's the land and,
Yeah, again, this is going back to the whole thing with the merger lot, requirement, and now this, again,
So this
30,000.
was a separate lot prior to zone?
That's correct.
Okay,
And that's why you see it before you.
I was wondering.
Yeah, no, this wouldn't even be
30,000
before you.
square
It's, I mean,
feet.
it's a 30,000 square foot lot. It has the frontage, it doesn't have the area, it doesn't, but it's,
It has 14,000 square feet up one.
yes.
I have a question. On the back of the house, almost closer towards the vernal pool or the wetlands, there were flood marks from the trees of pollen 2 feet up. I'm wondering, like, if that does get a lot of rain flooding, will that be entering the back of the house where they said they're gonna have, right up there, yeah,
Yeah, so right at the wetland line?
yeah.
Yeah, so that, I mean, there is definitely soils that determine where that wetland line is, and that's where we believe that and he's fairly conservative with his wetland lines, Steve is, but that's where we believe that flooding could have, come to. Anything beyond that, there's just no evidence of it at all.
Okay.
You would see, when you do the soil augering, you see glaying in the soil, meaning it looks like grayish, whitish color because it's been sitting in water for a long period of time. So there was no signs of that, according to Steve, beyond where he flagged it, essentially. So that's where the flooding, if there were to be flooding, that's where you would see it, is to there.
And there's no evidence on the slope where the septic's going in?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
What'd
I
you
think
get for a
that's what you
perk?
less than 2.
Oh.
It's all, again, it's all
So it's all
sand,
sand.
so it's all very good soils, which is good, if it was a glacial till, something really tight, we'd have more.
Where
concerns.
the auger goes clang,
Yeah.
it can't go any further.
yeah, but all that's up on the hill where the septic's going, correct?
Correct, yes.
How high does that water go?
What was that?
How high does the water from that vernal pool, or whatever it is, to the right?
So what we're saying is that's the maximum extent of the flooding that we would, he could see.
Okay.
Was based off of the soils.
Yeah.
There was no evidence in the leaves or anything like that it goes any further than
Okay.
that. And Steve did this in the spring, this
When it was
delineation.
really wet. This year?
Yes.
Madam Chair,
Yep, Joe?
do we have any abutters?
Well, let's make sure everybody
Okay.
on the commission has their say first.
I had a couple questions actually about wildlife impacts and, it's a potential vernal pool, so it's not certified, but it's still one of the interests of the acts is wildlife protection. So it just, I mean, one of the things that you can get into there, without citing the sections, whatever, is coming up with some type of wildlife habitat evaluation. When I was out there, there were peepers going, I mean, it was a month ago. I think I saw turtles. I'm not 100% sure. I wasn't close enough, but, I mean, I'm concerned, you know, that if it was approved, that there are measures in place, because we know just over time runoff is gonna, you know, it's not certified, so it doesn't have those protections, but it's a vernal pool. But that's a concern I have, is what's actually in there. And if you stand for a little while, you've been out, you know, a lot of stuff going on there. And the act addresses beyond just the vernal pool piece, you know, wildlife protection and, you know, and wondering what's out there. I don't know if the commission would, I think it's 1060, you can ask for a wildlife evaluation. I mean, I don't know if that's going over the top, if that's necessary, but it's a vernal pool. I mean, when you look at it's not certified, but if you look at I would get, that's just my opinion, but if you look at the topography, it's that, you know, it's that, those tight concentric, it's a basic, you know, I mean, that's my opinion. So those are some of my concerns. The one other thing I'm curious about, and John brought it up, you know, how close are you going to be working to the wetland, and are you actually going to wind up having to work in the wetland? And in that case, any replication or anything?
There's no intent to work in the wetland. We have a 5-foot buffer with the erosion control, and I think that's why it was a good point, a good question as far as what are we going to propose as far as erosion control. We have the 10-inch blown-in sock right now, which is, you know, it's a heavy-duty, you know, sock. You can't just move it by hand. It gets staked down. It does work well. We're amenable to.
I've seen those buried.
Yes. Yeah. Understood.
You know?
Yeah. No. And that's why we're amenable
With
to.
this pit, I mean, with this, you know, change in elevation. Right?
Yeah, no, we're amenable to adding some sort of another control if that would make the commission feel at least a little bit more comfortable. But, you know, that's our, yeah, there's no intent to, if we did find that there was going to be a disturbance, we would obviously stop the project right away and have to talk to the client and deal with it. So that's.
I think there's some other stuff to get passed first before we start talking about how we're gonna,
Yeah.
you know, do siltation and whatever. I don't know how the rest of the commission feels, but I think there's a lot of peer reviewing we need to do here. On our order of conditions, after we had peer reviews, we could also say that we want to see this vernal pool certified. We can put that in an order of conditions, and we have.
But to have them certified?
Yeah, needs to, is it a vernal pool? And now, if you went there, when did you first submit this?
I want to say it was in June.
June 24th?
Yeah.
Was the very first one? Anyway, okay, so does anybody else hear everything to say before we call up the neighbor?
I agree with Mark. I would like to see the wildlife elevation on it and the wetlands to be.
So it's not in the National Heritage.
That's correct.
Yeah, it doesn't show up.
Because it's only a potential vernal pool.
Yeah, this is not mapped within natural heritage for sure.
Right.
That's all documented.
Yeah, we talked to him.
Well, I'd like to get a chance to go out with Niles and check it out.
Yeah, understood.
So, can we you wanna come now?
Yeah, if you guys are gonna go out, I wouldn't mind going to. I went out by myself, but it'd be helpful to have you there.
Of course.
So, if you just state your name for the record, please.
My name's Keith Archer. I live in 18 Anaconda Drive, which is the street behind the lot. we are up against the, vernal pool wetland area.
On the backside.
On the backside, yeah, where, there isn't always water, but, we do get, you guys were discussing a little earlier, wondering how high it gets, and, it was last spring, we had a good, it was starting to come up towards our yard, which was raised, and so we would go on our nightly walks to the other side. On Captain's Way, I'd say the water was probably even a foot down from the street, and there was instances where you saw it spill over on a big storm. So it doesn't happen often, but I mean, that definitely collects quite a bit of water.
So you're over where Niles is sitting?
We are,
essentially.
yeah, we're right off of
Yeah,
the
you're back-
ground.
you're back
Yeah.
there.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, correct.
Is there anything under the road that would take that water and put it underground to the other side of the road, Captain's Way?
Yeah,
I think
under
there's an-
Captain's Way, I believe, when we've walked through it, there's.
Is there a culvert under there?
A pipe that goes to, like, north of the drawing, I forget which exactly is north to south, east, west on this, but if you're looking up, yeah, there's a pipe going.
So this is basically a drainage basin that was designed, this is the low area on Captain's Way and Anaconda and a lot of that drainage. We were out there, there's catch basins and manholes and that capture the storm water that come to the low area and it's discharged into the basin.
Oh, so that was designed for the
It
subdivision?
was definitely a low area for the basin for sure, no question about it.
What's the elevation of the street?
It's,
You know?
84.
it's really kind of, we don't have a ton of topo in that area, but it goes up pretty significantly. There's a major change in elevation from one side to the other.
Well, if he's saying it's like a foot below the street at times,
That
Is
was
that gonna
the
flood your
low
house?
point of Captain's.
that's the only question I have. Cause I'm looking at,
It's a street's kind of elevated because it's low on the other side of the street too.
I'm right at the driveway, it
That's
looks
probably
like it's
built.
around 94, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's top of foundation, 94 and a half?
Correct.
So if that's a foot below that level, 93, that's gonna come up on your foundation, no?
Yeah, that would have to flood up to almost onto the people's property over here. I just
never
don't
done
see
that.
it. There's no
right.
signs of that at all.
Let's let the
Yeah,
neighbor finish, I'm
so,
sorry.
I mean, I could plea for, my family moved here a couple of years ago and we fell in love with that spot because of the neighborhood, the lot next to us, knowing that, or feeling that it would never be built on. We do hear the frogs at night and everything, we just love it. Obviously, that's just an argument for feelings, which only goes so far. So I have minimal knowledge of reading blueprints, but I was able to look that up. And from my understanding, and I may be wrong on some of these things, these are just some of the points that I could get of why maybe this should not move forward, was that it is requiring a variance because it is under the 30,000 square foot minimum. I did not know that there was a revised drawing, so I have not probably seen
Well,
this.
just-
one.
Nothing
so
changed
you
too
know-
much on that.
Because of the recent state law, because this lot was a separate lot prior to zoning, it automatically becomes a buildable lot.
Gotcha. Okay, so
So-
that's what, okay.
Yeah.
Under zoning.
Even though
And-
it doesn't, it's not up to today's zone,
Right.
which is an acre and 3/4.
And that goes to the zoning, not to
Yeah.
conservation.
The high groundwater, from what I could read from there, it was about approximately, the groundwater is at 83 feet in elevation, which you have the system components were only marginally higher, which obviously raised the risk of contamination, and where we all have wells surrounding in this immediate area, that was a big concern of ours.
How deep is your well? Do you know?
I think it was one, I don't know off the top of my head, actually. I don't know.
That's okay.
Yeah. Concerns with the significant earthwork being performed during the construction, bringing in all the machinery. I know you have a border around there, but going to construction sites myself a lot, I mean, I know things blow out of proportion at times. And so it's very tight working back there. it's all bordered by natural vegetation, trees, low-lying, wet areas, vernal pools, whatever the term. So I'd be very concerned of the runoff, the erosion. And then I guess last would just be, well, this kind of goes on the other thing, but the precedent of zoning, if we allow this, I'm worried it just opens up for other opportunities going in smaller lots, but then you had just made aware this doesn't go under the 30,000 square feet.
And Conservation Commissions do not set precedent.
Gotcha.
Plus, we can't necessarily consider any kind of zoning thing with the conservation.
Right,
areas.
right.
So it's all about the wetlands.
The wetlands, okay. Yeah, so I mean, our concern was just that, I mean, ultimately, we just couldn't really picture a house fitting in that small area right next to us, or diagonally from us. Sitting out in the yard the other day, we were just thinking how nice it was seeing all the trees and picturing a retaining wall in the woods and what you would need to build there seemed seems like you're trying to fit a lot in a small shoebox.
It's definitely tight.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I really have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Yeah.
Niles, does the owner, there's another lot behind it? Maybe I'm wrong, on Anaconda? That's below, is it the same owner?
No.
No,
Property?
Mosier, that says Mosier on it.
Okay, I saw something, it must have been older, okay, I don't know.
Okay, what are we doing? Continuing?
Continuing for,
And
Yeah,
what do we
more dis-
wanna
more dis-
require?
More discussion.
Yes, I do.
I see this as, you know, it's so hard to make this work. If this didn't have all the wetlands in it, okay, basically a piece of cake. But you're gonna be fighting nature the entire time you're building it, and the entire time it sits there, you're gonna be fighting nature. I don't want to approve something that's gonna turn out to be disastrous for some homeowner. And I think, you know, there's more work that's gotta be done on this if the owner of the property really wants to go through with fighting nature to get this in there. That's my feeling.
I
how long
agree.
have they owned this property for?
I'm sorry.
How long have they owned this property for?
I actually don't know I can get the answer for you on that, but I don't know.
Just wondering if it's somebody who just bought it recently and they.
My client is got it under purchase and sales, depending on, you know, how this goes, obviously.
Is it
Okay.
Billy Logan?
Yes.
So it does show the property owner as a Mosier.
The down and next door. But
That's the next door
So
lot.
the
Yeah.
purchase and sale is probably
doesn't
contingent on
matter.
it being able to be built, I would
Yeah.
assume.
So is that part of what was supposed to be one lot?
So this is one separate parcel, and then this is another separate parcel.
Okay.
Yeah, this is it right here.
That separate parcel down below, what's the acreage on that?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know the answer. I can get you the answer.
So, I
but
mean,
don't
we're
know.
trying to get them to buy that and put it
Yeah,
together.
no, I understood. Yeah, no, they would if they could, but I don't believe that's even available.
Well, but that's the whole thing about this new law,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know.
everybody's trying to put less on more space.
And I'm gonna repeat myself because we weren't on cable last time. But the state comes in here on property and forces building down our throats and we have no control over it. We're sitting here, why are we doing this to ourselves? We have some control to try to not let fit, 5 pounds of sausage into a 1 pound box. I've been opposed to this since the first time I saw it. So
your question was, what are we continuing for? So we're continuing to look into getting the vernal pool certified,
yep,
getting the wetland
line,
line.
Peer review.
Reviewed, just to not to second guess, but to secondarily evaluate that the high
Yep.
water marks are correct.
and drainage.
And look at the drainage, and, John and I would like to go out with Niles and walk it, since I didn't get an opportunity to, and he went on
And wear
a
long
solo
pants.
adventure. And we will,
I was out there in shorts.
we will dress bug proof.
My only question, and again, I don't want to make you do anything you're not comfortable with, but is if the commission isn't comfortable with the project as is and things if nothing changes, if it's not going to get, as you can tell, it's tight. There's not a lot of room. I have a pretty small house on there. The septic system is what it is. It's as small as it's going to be. If you see a change, it's going to be very, very minimal, if any change at all. So if the commission's not comfortable with it, now.
Make this decision sooner than later.
Well, I'm not trying to make you do anything you're not comfortable with, but if, to go all through all that and then the commission to say, well, we're still not comfortable with it because we just don't like it.
Very honestly, I can't, no matter what, I can't see myself voting yes on this.
No, and I get that. Yep, no, understood.
And I've told you that from
And
the
I know you
beginning.
have. No,
Okay,
and I
okay.
appreciate that. Appreciate the honesty.
I think what it might come up with is a couple of design adjustments and a couple of protection requirements.
Well, the first thing is to verify that that's the actual wetland line, and it's not actually bigger.
Yeah,
That's-
Yeah.
understood.
That's the concern. And then that the drainage isn't gonna cause a problem for someone else.
Yeah.
You know?
And for me, again, back to wildlife, I'm just looking at the act, there's it's section 1060. The commission can recommend a wildlife habitat evaluation, and why I would think that would be helpful, it's what are we trying to protect? It's one of the interests of the act, so I
That might go along with the vernal, with certifying the vernal pool, that might be
Yes.
attached to that.
Yeah, and it's just my opinion to the
How easy-
commission.
How easy is it to certify a vernal pool? Like, what's involved?
They have to do it in the spring. I don't know if they can do it at this time of year.
We'll find out.
We'll find out from Natural Heritage, but usually in the spring. Is the neighbor gone? No. I don't suppose you took any, any sounds of the peepers back there?
They're loud, they, keep the kids up.
They're loud?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, believe me, I
I mean,
know.
they're gone kinda now, they're quiet down.
Right,
now.
right.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
on the tail end of that
Egg
season.
masses and stuff have to be identified.
And I
That
don't-
doesn't mean we can't get the process started
Started,
and find out
right.
what the process is.
Yeah.
I think we can get a good feel in the next.
If this is going to get sent out for review, can we vote to do that tonight at least, so we're not going
Yeah,
back to
Peer
the next
review?
meeting?
Yeah, that's where
But I thought you were just asking if we're still good,
Yeah, no, I am. Again, it seems like that's the direction you're going, but again, if the commission's not comfortable with it even after that, it just seems,
Well, I think you have to have a real reason, not just that you don't like it.
no, I
So-
understood.
well, they're not proved to
My
me.
mind is
Right,
still
they have
open.
to prove
Yeah.
they're gonna protect the
Right.
wetland.
My
And I
mind
wanna-
is still open that
I wanna
that
give you
can
a-
be proven,
Yeah,
and I want to give you a fair chance to do it.
yeah.
Well,
but that's
my
just-
last point, we have not, in the last 20 years, approved anything with a 25 buffer running through the middle of the house on new construction. So what are we opening ourselves up for,
Well,
which is,
this was opened by the state, because we wouldn't even be talking about this if that didn't become a
but
law.
our policy has been, and I'm
But
thinking if
we
it
don't
was.
have a bylaw that says that.
We don't, but we have a policy that says it, and we have what we wrote it on, but the meeting that we voted on it, Lori has found the minutes from that meeting. We have a policy that says 25-foot no-touch zone, and we've upheld that for 20 years. Unless you can remember something I don't. So what do we, that's what my point
Then
was, is that people come in here and cram things down our throat. Why are we opening ourselves up to that in the future when we got enough going on?
Then let's confirm the wetland line and
Okay,
we'll go from there.
okay. but it's still, it's not gonna get, the wetland lines are not gonna get further away, and the 25-foot goes right through the middle of the house. So even if we come back more, that wetland line still goes right through the house. Okay, I'm just one vote. Well, I can't help it. I've just
Well,
been doing this.
can you share the meeting minutes from that meeting
Yeah.
with everybody?
Yeah.
Who wasn't a part of the commission at the time?
Yeah,
just so
Lori said she
everybody-
found it.
Okay.
And,
Not contesting that just because
okay,
everybody who wasn't part of it should all be able to read the same thing.
I don't, it's only me and Joe.
Yep.
You remember
What's
that
that?
we voted?
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
of
okay,
course, yes.
all right. So, once again, what are we doing? We're gonna continue and look for that, or are we gonna,
If they want to make the effort, we ought to give them the opportunity.
right? But they're spending a lot, they'll be spending a lot of money to do all these things we're asking for. So we
That's,
better
that's the
decide
question,
it-
that's the question, I
Right.
guess, is.
Yeah.
Right,
Well, whose minds are made up? I know Nancy's is, but I'm open to see what happens, like.
I'm open to, engineers can do marvelous things.
Right.
I'm open, so again, one thing, the things I've done, I can do beyond what's already on the plan, we did, again, put the, split rail fence along that limit of work, so I did it on the previous plan, I had added that, with signage, which is a common practice in a lot of commissions, in the area. So at least there is that. Again, is that gonna stop somebody from doing something? No, but it's there as a protection. So people, the people know that it's a protected area, so it is there. We are open to doing some sort of roof drain recharge, definitely beefing up the erosion control, and, any other, items that you see as an issue we're open to, reasonable, concerns.
I think we definitely want the wetland line peer review.
Yeah.
And the drainage.
So the drainage, so this is a single family lot,
Yeah.
which, so as far as drainage goes, it's what are you reviewing it for? Because it doesn't need to comply with stormwater management, as I'm sure the commission's aware. So it's one of those tricky, slippery
but
slopes.
I guess it's not time for the drainage yet, because you said you're gonna change that and do roof drains and stuff.
I can
So,
do
right,
that.
Then that would be what will get the peer review, but I'm saying, do we wanna just continue until we look up about the 25-foot no touch? And then come back? They can't certify the vernal pool probably right away anyway, so there's no time rush on this. So,
I mean, that's, you tell us what you want to do. You know what our concerns are.
Understood.
If you think you can resolve those concerns, we want to give you the
Your
opportunity.
client is willing to
Right.
give it an effort.
Do you want us to continue it? You discuss it with you?
What I don't want to do is it get continued for one small thing and then it keeps getting continued over because we're saying, all right, now we want this, now we want this, now we want this. So I'd like to try to, if we can do it all in one, as close to as one full swoop as we can, that's what I'd be open to.
At some point, I think we need to have the wetland line peer reviewed
Yeah.
and confirmed,
Yeah.
whether it's by someone at some point, and now we have an open opportunity with somebody interested in it. So it would seem like it makes sense to take advantage of the time and somebody who's truly interested in it. So we should do it now while they are interested.
Yeah, no, we're open to the review of that. As far, like I said, the drainage thing's a little bit trickier, only because again, it's a single family lot. I
Well,
can
but you
do a
made suggestions for,
roof drain.
yeah, for improving the,
So those don't need
That's
to be
correct.
peer
The
reviewed,
issues
they
that
just
we
have
have
to
with
get put
drainage.
in the
Correct.
plans.
so, I mean, I would consider, you should put that in your, revise your plan.
Oh, I am. No, I will. As far as erosion control, would the commission be amenable to the 10-inch silt sock as well as
Plus a
a
silt fence,
silt fence
I would say.
backing it? Would that be
Definitely.
sufficient? If you were amenable to that? That'll at least be a proposal. I've done double, silt sock. It's whatever you would like. I feel as though
My
silt
issue
sock
is,
with the
it's
silt
10
fence.
inches high,
Yep.
and that's a hell of a slope.
Yep.
with,
Yeah.
and if it's gonna be holding, you know,
I like having the two alternate methods as,
a
That's
silk
an alternate.
fence will catch it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm completely
So
fine with
should we
that.
get to that point? That is a.
Oh,
a
understood.
good-
Yeah, no, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to revise as much as I can on the next
Okay.
plan, so that you have as much information before you that we're proposing as possible.
All right, and nobody is answering my question yet. After 20 years, are we gonna go back on our no-touch, 25-foot no-touch after 20 years? And what's that gonna open for every other lot like this that comes into Lakeville?
It's not.
I would like-
We don't set precedent. But
It's
we're
a
just-
policy, and DEP, if we can prove that we haven't done it for 20 years and we don't approve this and it goes to appeal, I think we have enough evidence that we've never done it and we've held to it for all these years. And I think we'd have a good case.
I'd like to see the minutes for that. And it needs to be brought to everybody
Okay.
Same.
attention. Because if it- by president, we haven't done it, then why break it now?
Because we're gonna see a lot, what if we see a lot more of these? Like I say, the state comes in and cramps stuff down our throat. If we have some control over some of this, then we should be using it.
We might, but like, we're gonna need to, if it does come to the point that we deny this, we're
Yep.
gonna need to have it in very clear black and white why we deny it.
Yep.
So that other future homeowners, that somebody who has owned their lot for 20 years and couldn't build on it, now the state opened it up to them.
Right.
They come to us and we deny them, and they try to appeal, we're gonna be able to say, this is the reason, X, Y, and Z, we did it in this case, we did it in this case, and we did it in this case.
I'm just saying,
So
this
we
is
want
the.
it to be fair, is.
And I just feel this is the point in time in Lakeville when we gotta draw the line with what's happening here.
The only other thing I wanna say is, just so the commission's aware, is this did obviously go in front of the state, as far as the DEP file number, and there was no comment on it at all. So if there was a concern,
On the wetland.
you know, on the wetland, I mean, they're not looking at the wetland line, you know, accuracy, obviously, so that's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying as far as the work
Yep.
goes, because they're considering it buffer zone, there's no disturbance to the resource area, so that's what they're,
Right, and
that's
all
why there's no
towns, right,
comment.
all towns are
So,
different.
I
Other towns
1,000%
might-
agree, you know, that you've had that 25-foot no-touch policy, I understand completely. So I'm not arguing with that at all.
All right, so let's make a motion to find the policy in writing for now.
So we're
Second.
gonna continue this and do that.
Yeah,
And we're not
Bill,
gonna-
did you have something else to
Just
say?
second,
Okay,
if it was time to second it.
so continue to the 22nd to find the minutes from the meeting of the 25, no, our policy, and
But we're also going to allow them to,
Do we wanna add peer review of the wetland line into this, or wait until
I think I'd
we
wait,
resolve this 25-foot issue?
yeah.
I'm not comfortable with that. I'd rather you, vote to approve the peer review at the same time, because why push it out? I mean, if you find that, you know, the 25-foot don't touch, is there, you know, the commission still seems to be somewhat open to, you know, changes to the plan. If they're not, then I would say, no, let's not move forward. But if we can go forward with the peer review, I'd like to at least vote on that tonight.
there's no harm in them doing.
If they're spending all that money, and if with that policy comes through and we decide to hold it up, then they've spent that money.
How long does it take for the wetlands line to be done?
Well, I guess so. Here's and that's a good point. No, understood completely. But what I'm saying is I don't want to wait till the next meeting for that, you know, for you to vote to do peer review. You could vote to do peer review at the next meeting. At the next meeting, you'll already have the quotes back. You can vote on doing it.
Okay,
And then if the
just
25-foot
just getting the quotes and you see
So that
how
way
much
we're
it's
not
gonna
waiting
cost.
another
Then you can
7
decide not.
Okay.
Then we can decide.
All
not.
right,
Then
that's,
that's-
yeah, that's
reasonable.
good, yes.
That's all. I'm trying
We'll
not to
vote to
push
get
it off.
quotes, but we're not voting to,
It won't perform the,
Right.
you know, it yet.
Just
if-
start the process.
okay.
Yes.
So, all right, so what are we doing? You said it all already, I think, but, peer review on the wetland line. And,
Revise the plans,
Minutes from the previous meeting.
all the minutes from the previous meeting, and, that Niles is going to take John and I on a visit. Just for our own eyes on.
Yes.
And what about the vernal pool?
We are going to research starting the process to have that site certified.
Yeah, see if it's now or if it's had to wait till the spring.
All right, so for Lori's sake, let's make this
Okay.
into a nice motion.
I'm
Okay,
I'm ready to say motion, so moved, but I'm not gonna make that motion.
all right, so I'm looking for a motion that we, find the minutes from the previous meeting for everyone that says we have a policy of a 25-foot no-touch zone. We're gonna get quotes on a peer review for the wetland line, and we're gonna look into how to have the vernal pool certified. And Niles is gonna make some new plans with roof drain things on them,
And, updated erosion control as well.
okay? And updated erosion control.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks.
All right, this next one should be easier. Off Myrick Street. Is that you, Jason? I was wondering why you were here.
Oh, just watching that site meeting. Miles said it was gonna be a fun one, so it's not been.
I think you're gonna be a little easier.
I hope so.
Your peer review came back pretty good.
All right, so the last meeting,
Oh, identify
oh,
yourself.
sorry, Jason Youngquist, Outback Engineering.
Okay,
The last meeting, we were waiting for the peer reviewer to get their comments in. I think they came in a couple minutes before the meeting. So you all didn't have time to look at it.
no, I think we had
So
them from
we-
her, right?
yep.
She had the extra areas and it got all straightened
Yeah,
out,
so we
right?
flagged way out back there. There
Yep.
was some additional wetlands that we flagged, and then, they reviewed, and I do believe they recommend approval of the override.
Yep,
And we agree with it.
So that was easy.
oh, it came in just before the last meeting, you mean?
Yep.
Okay, I was gonna say, it came in on June 24th. Okay,
It was like 5 o'clock on the day of the meeting.
okay. All right, so the only thing we have to do on the ORAD is to pull out that there's a second intermittent stream that was not flagged as part of the SANRAD, right?
Right, there's just a tiny.
I'm just gonna say that on the ORAD.
If there's anything.
Yeah. They recommend the commission make a note of the stream in this area. And you don't want us included, okay?
No.
All right, I'm
That
just
comes
gonna make
into
sure I call that out
Play later on. We'll do
on
it.
the order of conditions. For the ORAD. So, is everyone good with this? Our consultant is happy with the delineation of the wetland. We have no idea. Everybody keeps asking me what's going there. We have no idea. All we're doing is saying where the wetland line is and the stream and whatever,
Rest doesn't
so.
matter.
So, I'm looking for a motion to close the hearing and issue an ORAD.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There you go.
All right.
We should have moved him to the front.
Yes, I agree. Next time. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Me too. Make sure you get time and a half.
The Niles. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye. Okay. So I'm gonna look for continuances on 28 Precinct Street and 160 Bedford Street. Both parties have applied for or requested a continuance. So I look for a motion to continue 28 Precinct Street and 160 Bedford Street and rear Bedford Street to our July 22nd meeting at 6:30 PM at the police station.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
That's it. Meeting minutes?
Oh, we got minutes.
Meeting minutes.
Joe said,
What's that? Make a motion that
yes.
we accept the minutes of the Town of Lakeville Conservation Commission meeting of April 22nd, 2025 as presented to us.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to
That's it?
adjourn.
Yay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.